Every year, we lose stars whose voices, talents, and stories shaped the world around us. In 2025, we said goodbye to several American legends, icons of comedy, film, and television, whose lives touched millions. Today on Gone Legends, we remember their journeys, their legacies, and the impact they left behind. Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Gone Legends, and share in the comments where you are watching from. Together, we keep their memories alive. Today, we remember a man whose career spanned decades, an actor, a director, and a true craftsman of the stage and screen. His name was Jerry Adler, and his life's work left an indelible mark on American theater and television. Born on February 4, 1929, in Brooklyn, New York, Jerry grew up surrounded by the world of theater. His family was involved in the garment industry, but Jerry found his passion elsewhere, in storytelling. He began working behind the scenes in Broadway productions, first as a stage manager and later as a director, honing his craft in the heart of New York theater. Before he became widely known as an actor, Jerry Adler made his mark on Broadway as a stage manager and director. He worked on productions such as My Fair Lady and The Apple Tree, earning respect for his meticulous attention to detail and his ability to bring the best out of performers. This behind-the-scenes expertise gave him a unique perspective when he later transitioned into acting. He understood the full picture of a production, the script, the stage, the performances, and it made his presence all the more powerful. Though his theater career was rich, Jerry Adler became best known to audiences through his work on television and film. He appeared in numerous shows, but his most memorable role came on HBO's groundbreaking series The Sopranos. As Hesh Rabkin, a longtime advisor and friend to Tony Soprano, Jerry brought warmth, wit, and humanity to a show often filled with darkness. His performance made Hesh a fan favorite, a reminder that even in a brutal world, loyalty and wisdom had their place. Beyond The Sopranos, Jerry Adler appeared in series such as Rescue Me, Law and Order, and The Good Wife. He also made film appearances in works like Manhattan Murder Mystery and The Public Eye. Wherever he appeared, Jerry's steady presence and authentic performances elevated the story. Jerry Adler's career wasn't defined by celebrity flash, but by dedication, consistency, and love for the craft of performance. He embodied the working actor, the professional who showed up, delivered, and left a mark without needing the spotlight. Those who knew him described him as kind, generous, and deeply committed to his work. He represented a generation of performers who believed in storytelling as a lifelong pursuit, not just a career. On August 5, 2025, Jerry Adler passed away in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 95. His cause of death was reported as natural causes. He was laid to rest in a private ceremony, attended by family and close friends. Though his passing was quiet, tributes from fans, colleagues, and the entertainment community reflected the profound impact of his long career. Jerry Adler's death marked the loss of a true craftsman. He was a man who gave his life to the stage and the screen, enriching both without ever demanding the spotlight. For fans of The Sopranos, he will forever be remembered as Hesh, a steady, wise presence in a turbulent world. For the theater community, he will be remembered as a skilled director and a man who helped bring Broadway to life. Jerry Adler lived 95 years of dedication to his art. From Broadway to television, from behind the scenes to center stage, he gave the world a lifetime of stories. As we say goodbye, we honor his professionalism, his talent, and the countless memories he leaves behind. Rest in peace, Jerry Adler. Your voice, your presence, and your work will never be forgotten. Today, we remember a man whose vision helped shape the golden age of television and some of Hollywood's most iconic films. A leader, a storyteller, and a pioneer in entertainment. His name was Frank Price. Born on May 17, 1930, in Decatur, Illinois, Frank grew up with a love for stories. He pursued his education at Columbia University and began his career in the entertainment industry as a writer. But it didn't take long for people to recognize his sharp eye for talent, his understanding of audiences, and his gift for creating lasting stories. Frank Price began his rise in the world of television. He worked on shows like The Virginian and Ironside, bringing compelling stories and unforgettable characters to American living rooms. His ability to balance creativity with strong leadership set him apart. By the 1970s, Price had become one of the most powerful figures in entertainment. He transitioned into film and eventually rose to the top ranks of Hollywood, serving as president of Columbia Pictures and later as chairman of Universal Pictures. During his leadership, Frank championed projects that would go on to become classics. At Columbia, he oversaw films such as Kramer vs. Kramer, which won the Academy Award for Best Picture, and Tootsie, one of the most acclaimed comedies of its time. Perhaps one of his boldest and most defining moments was greenlighting Ghostbusters in 1984, a decision that turned into a cultural phenomenon and remains a beloved franchise to this day. At Universal, he continued shaping Hollywood by supporting films like Back to the Future and Out of Africa. His choices proved that he had an unmatched ability to balance commercial success with artistic achievement. What set Frank Price apart was not just his business sense, but his respect for storytellers. He believed in writers, directors, and actors, and gave them the freedom to create. Many in the industry remembered him not only as a strong executive, but also as a man who cared deeply about the craft of storytelling. Over his decades in entertainment, he influenced both television and film in ways that still ripple through Hollywood today. His career was a rare bridge between two worlds: television, where characters become part of our daily lives, and film, where stories become immortal. On July 29, 2025, Frank Price passed away in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 94. His cause of death was reported as natural causes. He was laid to rest at a private family service, surrounded by those who knew him best. Though his passing was quiet, the echoes of his work remain loud in the films, shows, and memories he left behind. Frank Price may not have been a household name like the stars on screen, but his fingerprints are everywhere in Hollywood. From blockbuster comedies to award-winning dramas, he helped bring to life some of the greatest stories ever told. His legacy lives not in a single role or performance, but in the opportunities he created for countless artists and in the joy he brought to millions of audiences around the world. Frank Price was a storyteller at heart, a leader by nature, and a visionary in practice. He shaped the stories that define generations, and though he is gone, his work continues to live on each time we press play. Rest in peace, Frank Price. Your influence on television and film will never be forgotten. Today, we remember a man whose quiet humor and unique voice transformed comedy forever. A legend whose wit, charm, and humility made him one of America's most beloved entertainers. His name was George Robert Newhart, but to the world, he was simply Bob Newhart. Born on September 5, 1929, in Oak Park, Illinois, Bob grew up in a working-class Catholic family. Long before Hollywood knew his name, Bob worked as an accountant and even served in the United States Army during the Korean War. But comedy was always his calling. His big break came in 1960 with the release of his debut comedy album, The Button-Down Mind of Bob Newhart. It was unlike anything the world had ever heard, dry, subtle, and brilliantly timed. Bob's one-sided phone conversations and stammering delivery brought everyday situations to life in a way that was instantly relatable and hilariously funny. The album became a cultural phenomenon. It was the first comedy record to hit #1 on the Billboard charts and went on to win the Grammy Award for Album of the Year, even beating out Frank Sinatra. Practically overnight, Bob Newhart became a household name. Bob's success didn't stop at stand-up. In 1972, he starred in The Bob Newhart Show, playing psychologist Dr. Bob Hartley. The show became a beloved classic, remembered for its warmth and witty humor. Audiences loved Bob's understated style. He wasn't loud or over the top. Instead, he was calm, patient, and hilariously relatable. Then, in the 1980s, he reinvented himself with another hit series, Newhart. Running from 1982 to 1990, the show's finale is still considered one of the most iconic endings in television history. For decades, Bob Newhart proved that true comedy never goes out of style. Even later in life, He continued to delight audiences with appearances in shows like The Big Bang Theory and movies such as Elf. No matter the role, Bob brought a quiet brilliance that could make audiences laugh with just a pause, a look, or a perfectly timed line. Throughout his career, Bob Newhart earned countless honors. He won Emmy Awards, Peabody Awards, and in 1993, he received the National Medal of Arts. In 2002, he was inducted into the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame. But more important than the awards was his impact. Generations of comedians, from Jerry Seinfeld to Jim Gaffigan, have cited Bob as an influence. He proved that comedy could be smart, clean, and timeless. On July 18, 2025, Bob Newhart passed away peacefully in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 95. His cause of death was natural causes. He was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills, a resting place for many of entertainment's greatest legends. Fans and fellow performers from around the world shared tributes, remembering him not only as a brilliant comedian, but as a kind, humble man. Bob Newhart's passing marked the end of an era. His comedy was never about being loud or cruel. It was about timing, observation, and the humor of everyday life. He had a rare gift, to make people laugh while keeping his work warm, clever, and universal. For those who grew up with the Bob Newhart Show, his voice felt like a part of home. For younger generations who discovered him later, his work was a masterclass in comedy. Bob was proof that laughter is eternal, and his gift will continue to bring joy for years to come. Bob Newhart lived 95 years of laughter, love, and legacy. He made the world smile in a way no one else could, and his influence on comedy and television will never fade. Though he has left us, his voice and his humor remain alive, in his albums, his shows, and the memories of millions of fans. Rest in peace, Bob Newhart. The world is a little less funny without you, but forever grateful that you shared your gift. Not all legends are gone. Some still walk among us, carrying their stories, their scars, and their strength into the present day. One of those living legends is Chuck Norris, a man whose name has become synonymous with courage, discipline, and invincibility. Born Carlos Ray Norris on March 10, 1940, in the small town of Ryan, Oklahoma, Chuck's early life was far from easy. Poverty, hardship, and family struggles defined his childhood. But instead of breaking him, those challenges forged a determination that would guide him for the rest of his life. In 1958, Chuck enlisted in the United States Air Force and was stationed in South Korea. It was there that he first encountered martial arts, an encounter that would change his life forever. From those first awkward lessons in Taekwondo and Judo, he built a lifelong mastery that would carry him to national and international championships. By the late 1960s, Chuck Norris was one of the most dominant martial artists in the world. He won the professional middleweight karate championship, holding it for 6 straight years. His reputation as a disciplined fighter and teacher grew, and soon Hollywood came calling. In 1972, Chuck Norris shared the screen with Bruce Lee in The Way of the Dragon. Their legendary fight in the Coliseum became one of the most iconic duels in cinema history. What might have been just a role turned into the spark that launched Chuck into stardom. From there, he starred in films like Good Guys Wear Black, 1978, The Octagon, 1980, Lone Wolf McQuade, 1983, Missing in Action, 1984, and The Delta Force, 1986. Each film built his reputation as the unshakable hero, the fighter who always stood on the side of justice. In 1993, Chuck brought his strength and discipline to television as Cordell Walker in Walker, Texas Ranger. For 8 seasons, audiences around the world tuned in to see him uphold the law, protect the innocent, and embody honor. The series made him a household name across more than 100 countries. But Chuck Norris's life has always been more than action roles and martial arts. He has written books, founded Kickstart Kids, a program that uses martial arts to teach discipline and respect to at-risk children, and remained a committed family man. Even after stepping away from Hollywood, Chuck has lived a life dedicated to his wife Gina, their twins Dakota and Danny Lee, and his ranch in Texas. Today, at 85 years old, Chuck Norris is still with us. Though time has slowed his steps, his story continues to inspire millions. He is proof that strength is not only about fists and muscles, it is about resilience, devotion, and love. Chuck Norris reminds us that even legends carry scars, but it is the way they rise above those scars that makes their stories timeless. To this day, Chuck Norris is more than a fighter, more than an actor, more than a cultural icon. He is living proof that no matter where you begin, poverty, hardship, or struggle, you can rise, you can endure, and you can inspire. As we honor those we have lost, let us also celebrate those who are still with us. Chuck Norris is not just a legend of the past, he is a living reminder of what it means to fight with honor and live with love.